Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Tuesday. It's time for the Tuesday just after Bill Burr's Monday morning podcast. This is Joe, as you know, and I got a surprise for everybody. We got our very first comment. Well, not very first. I did have a comment. It was like a shout out for shout out kind of deal a long time ago, but I guess you could say our first critic. I got my first Rotten Tomato, and so I'm gonna say, this right here. If you listen to any of the other casts, decent of the way through, you'll see that, or you'll hear that I said, if you got a comment, good or bad, comment, go ahead and leave a comment. Like, let me know what you got, let me know what you think, whether it's, whether something was funny or, I could improve on something or, whatever. But no, the funny part is, and like I said, I have to write the disclaimer or say the disclaimer because I walked myself into it. I'm the one who said, comment on my shit. So, at one angle of this, I can't bitch at this person for commenting, and I'm not bitching. And all what I'm about to say is all in good fun, but this commenter walked themselves right into like 4 times the trap that I got in. So, like I said, I've already said comment, positive, negative, either way, let me know. So, negative comments are to be expected. And, at least, based off, maybe a negative opinion I had or something. But this comment just, so first thing it says is, I don't know why this exists. You don't know why my channel and my podcast exist. That made me think, like, did you ever walk out in a thunderstorm and when lightning strikes, do you just yell at the sky like, hey, you're interrupting my peace, why do you fucking exist? Like, what do you mean, why does it exist? Why do you exist? Why do I exist? Why does anything exist? Nobody can answer those questions. It exists because I fucking created a page, and then, like I said, my dumb ass decided, fuck it, let's see how far this will go. Now I will say I can partially agree that, it might not go anywhere. It might just turn to shit and be all for me and a venting mechanism like the commenter said. But again, the funny part about it is you wouldn't know that I said all that stuff about myself unless you listened far enough into my other old casts to hear it. So either you trolling and you're just commenting because you heard the first minute or two and you don't like it, which if that's the case, you're just a keyboard warrior getting pissed off because other people are chasing dreams and you're not. You're just sitting there just on YouTube like, who can I get mad at? Who can I, I'm gonna down this person today. It's fucking hilarious. And then what was the other thing? Oh, it said, the person said, besides, why does this exist? Which I think is hilarious because that's like asking, what's the meaning of life? Like, you might as well make a prayer to God. Why does this podcast exist? Oh man, when Bill says the mouth breathing people out there, that made me think of that. Like I said, you walked yourself into that one, buddy. Even no matter how shitty I am, and that's another thing, and all the top, comedians, actresses, actors, anybody out there who's made anything in their life, they'll tell you, you're gonna fail in the beginning, keep going, don't give up. So for this person to just be like, this is just trash, it shouldn't exist or whatever, blah blah blah. It's just like, dude, like I said, negative comment, one thing, like I said, if I say something you don't like and you comment like, hey, that was a rude, a rude bit or something, or, I take that personal or whatever, that's different. But just to say that it shouldn't exist and that, and it's never going to work. And then, the last part was, it's not going to get viewership, which to me is hilarious because, again, with the other topics, like I said, you have to listen to know what you said is either very coincidentally matching my own jokes or you've listened enough that you're frustrated that I keep doing it. which just makes me want to do it more because, like I said, I'm doing this to push buttons, not your buttons. It was more to, like I said, I was trying to meet my comedy heroes, not my Rotten Tomato critics that think I fucking waste my time. Waste of time, that was in there too. There's better stuff you can do with your time. What could I possibly do better with my time driving home or driving to work? Should I not look at that's why there's no video, because I don't want to buy a fucking thing and then you're just going to stare at me while I'm, steering the steering wheel back and forth and hitting the gas and shit. So, obviously, there's a discrepancy here on what you think my time is going to and what my time is actually going to. Because, no, I don't waste, I take notes when I listen to Bill. And, I try to develop jokes, but, again, if you listen long enough in the last, later or older casts, and everything I think of, the more this comment resonates in my head, because I was thinking of it. First, it was like, you're always going to have negativity. And the person, again, disclaimer, the person wasn't necessarily a dick. They did say, if it makes you happy, then go for it and have a good day. So, like I said, all my shit talking is just to back at you in good fun. And, I hope you're happy and have a good day too. But, what else could I be doing with my time driving? I'm looking at the road. Am I supposed to be looking somewhere else? Should I drive somewhere else instead of to home or work? And then wasting my time, if you're talking about taking notes to respond to Bill's comments, like I said, I'm either at work or I'm sitting at home bored anyway, which, at work, I'm listening, it's in my ear and I'm working and, it's just like cliff notes, it's not like full paragraphs. It's just like, Bill said this, and a lot of times I got to go back and rewrite it just so I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I actually mentioned that last on Friday's cast. I said I wrote notes about Bill's Thursday, but then when I woke up and got ready to talk about it, I didn't know what the fuck he was like, what I meant. I'm like, I listened to him, but I don't know where I was going with any of my shit. But no, it's just funny. That's I got trolled. My first comment is a troll. Maybe a troll. Either way, it's partial troll. But it's like, you either had to have listened to a lot of my shit to find out, like, to say what you said, or you fit it perfectly in with my my own ragging on myself. So, like I said, you walked into that one, which is fine by me. I don't expect everybody to like me or dislike me or whatever. But so congrats to the channel on the first comment regarding my content, I guess you could say. Wasn't specific, but I guess I shouldn't exist or my channel shouldn't exist. All right. So now that I'm done with that, I want to actually move on to my responses to Bill. Like I said, I didn't get much time in for Thursday, but I got a couple things here written down. First thing is the basketball championship the college hoops championship game. My dropout alma mater, University of Florida, go Gators, baby. They're in the championship games for the first time since I was in school. Not there, but I did get to meet, side story, Chandler Parsons. I know he's not a big basketball name. He didn't really make it. He got drafted by the Houston Rockets, I believe. And then kind of fizzled out. He's like a Tim Tebow, he's from the Gators. He kind of had that similar fizzling out, I guess you could say, or whatever, however you want to call that career. Still made way more money than I do, a couple seasons worth. And then, so let's see, what do we got here? So now I got to go back through the notes because this fucking comment threw me off. Let's see, I'm trying to find Thursday first. I want to go in order for you guys. All right, so we got the first critic in there for all that. Let's see. Get past that. Oh, Bill was doing his reads. And I've been listening, obviously I'm a fucking fan. I made the, fan Copycast. And I know sometimes I stumble and stutter and, what the fuck am I doing putting a turn signal on in a straight lane? See, this is how fucked up this shit's got me mentally. But, god damn, that fucking comment, man. He walked right into it. Why does this exist and all this shit? And then at first I'm like, and like I said, everything that you're commenting on is at the end of my casts. So to say you're not going to have viewership, it's either you're either bullshitting or it's like a 6 times coincidence. So it's fucking great. I love it. I love that comment. Like, that's the perfect first comment because it's so naturally going against or maybe going with everything I say. But no. So on to Bill. This is what we're about. This is about fucking Billy Broadway, fucking geriatric William, fucking William Short Sword. I don't want to say Long Sword because, you can't give him too much credit downstairs. I mean, he does have 2 kids, but fuck, he's a white Irish pale guy. If we're going by stereotypes and rumors, he's not the BBC. he's the SWC and his Prius. The old Prius, but no, I could tell listening to his reads, like his advertisements. I mean, I know it's reading off just a paper, but he reminds me of the kids in school when you got those kids when the teacher calls on you and you've been following along and you're ready and it's like bam, you're on paragraph 3 and you're like, so next blah 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 happened and so went on to the theater and when they went in they had that and you just read perfect, nice and smooth. It's like you were ready for your spot in line in the reading, of the textbook. And then you got the guy that was like me. Well, I was worse. Well, I followed along. I made sure I knew where I was supposed to be. And, so Bill knows where he's supposed to be because it's only probably like a 1 fucking page, advertisement read along deal. But it's just funny because the way he's reading it, it's like open phone. They give you a business to do this with your phone, and it's got an app, and it's just funny because he's like the kid that didn't catch on to where everybody was reading, and then he already doesn't read. He reads fluent. I don't want to say not fluent. I know he went to, like I said, I know he's not stupid like he fucking sometimes acts. But no, he was stumbling and shit, and it just made me think of, like I said, the kid in class that's just like, oh, what paragraph? Oh, paragraph 4? Oh, yeah, Johnny, he went to the market. And that's just what I hear and I see. and that's my asshole brain, just like with the commenter, my asshole brain goes to the fucking, what do you mean, why does this exist? Why do we exist? And then, but no, I can relate to that, because like I said, the whole point of this, eventually, maybe I can get the balls to do stand-up or, audition for some fucking play or a movie or something. Well, not a play. I don't want to dance around in tights like old Billy. But, see, for that commenter now, I just put it into my house, so it's fucking, from now until the end is, if you want to call it wasted time, you can call it that. But all I'm going to do is go inside, put on some fucking sports or, well, not until 6 or 7, we got hockey, but yeah, I'm going to go inside, pour myself a nice little drink, fucking watch TV and relax. So, if this is wasting time, then it's better wasted on this than, wasted on fucking something, that could hurt me or hurt somebody else or whatever. So, go ahead and clarify that. What do you spend your time doing besides trolling small-time channels on YouTube? Oh, and then Bill on today's, and yeah, I say today, I'm recording Monday, Bill recorded Sunday, it was his day off, so I figured, screw it. Why waste my time like I was told, and, rush for a Tuesday morning when I already got all the information on a Monday night. So, yeah, I'm recording this. I might even post it tonight. It'll be the Monday morning podcast. Just to fucking piss off that commenter. It's funny, man. Do this to try and meet your comedy heroes. and then your heroes end up being the people that give you a reason to be comedic. But so yeah, Bill, being the kid reading in class. Let's see. He also mentioned, I forget what exactly he was talking about, the category. It might have been the billionaire shit or the fucking food supply or, all the shit that Bill talks about all the time. But he talked about the red and blue and all that. And what the Rocket Man, and how Rocket Man's ancestry has some questionable ancestry. But he was talking about, it shouldn't be the red versus blue or the, whatnot. Stuff I'm not going to say in this particular cast because I'd actually like it to not be fucking blocked by everything. But, no, yeah, I mean, everything, I agree with Bill in his comedies. Everything's a spectrum, I can't stand those people that are like, well, I'm so blue that if you're red at all, don't talk to me because you don't believe in, you don't believe in life, or you don't believe in, trees, or, you think global warming is just, it's just because there's not as many clouds, and it's stupid. And then you got the other side. It's like, well, you're so blue that you want every boy to be a girl, and you want every girl to be a boy, and you want everybody to play sports in the same group, and you want to include diverse people, not because they're smart, but because they're diverse and blah, blah, blah. And it's all this fucking just back and forth. And it's like, I think I speak for most of us, at least, common folk, when I say we're not that far, I mean, I hope so. I hope so, because if it really is that bad, I mean, I guess it is that bad because it's on the news every day and all the time. But, like, when did we get to the point where it's like, if I disagree with you or you disagree with me, we're just enemies? Like I said to the commenter, all the roasting and all the, shit talk back and forth, even if I get another comment. None of it's meant out of, I'm not trashing the person. I don't fucking know the person. Yeah, you trolled me. But, I gave you my shit back, so it's all fun and games. That's what comedy's supposed to be about. Let's keep it that way. But in the talk of the red, blue, and the leadership and yada yada, it's kind of the same idea. We're supposed to, it's not fun and games. I mean, it's all our, financial lives and whatnot, in jeopardy here. No, not here, but, just in any situation in that realm. But, if everybody were just to toe the line a little bit and fucking, just kind of look over the edge towards the middle and see that there is a middle ground that's actually, it sounds sane and it seems professional on both ends, maybe we'd have more progress. But, that's a different story. But, no, I'm glad that Bill mentions that when he does, because I agree. I could identify myself as a blue or a red or even purple in the middle, whatever. But, I think it's that's not what it should be. It shouldn't be, well, I'm aligned with this group, so that's it. No, it should be, well, what's our differences? Where can we find the most common ground without being, disrespectful or hateful, in a actual negative way. But, yeah. So good on Bill for that. He mentioned in his cast AI replacing everybody, and I got in an argument with my ex-brother-in-law a couple years back. Bill mentioned Steak and Shake. He doesn't like the chains. He said he likes doing the mom and pop stuff, which if you like the mom and pop, you should listen to my Shouldn't Exist podcast. I should rename it the Shouldn't Exist podcast for that fucking whoever that is. But yeah. No, Bill said he tries the mom and pop places, try and support the small and whatnot. I appreciate that. You haven't supported my small business yet, but, I don't even know if, the troll I'm looking for to reference Star Wars, this wasn't the troll I was looking for. But Bill did mention, on that note, that somebody messaged him, emailed him, and said that somebody's using him as clickbait or copying him as clickbait, and it's getting Bill more fans. And Bill was like, well, if I'm getting more fans, then what do I care? And I kind of feel like it might have been that troll person talking about me or somebody else talking about me. Which, hey, like I said, good or bad or indifferent, you know, I could have 10,000 negative comments trash talking me. And if I get that fucking picture of that handshake with Bill or, you know, fucking, you know, poor me, George Carlin's not around, but, you know, any of the you know, comedy geniuses, you know, Cat Williams or Bill or oh man, I mean, there's too many names. I don't even want to disrespect any of the names because there's the Patel, there's another Indian younger guy. He's hilarious. You got Kreischer and all them on, you know, Netflix and stuff and Hulu. So, you know, I don't even want to start into that. You know, Bill's on my top 3 or my MySpace top 8. But yeah, you know, that's the troll I'm looking for here. So yeah, but speaking of AI taking over, I was arguing with my brother-in-law, and he was saying how Steak and Shake getting rid of the waiters and waitresses was a great business idea. And I was like, yeah, for the owners. And he said, yeah, that's the point, you know, to make more profit. And I said, yeah, but being a small, you know, being a lower class like we are, how can you side with the rich and say, well, that's a great idea? Yeah, well, it sure is a great idea if you're rich and you want to get more rich. But what about if you're, you know, one of us and you just want to make a fucking decent living and pay your bills? And he's like, oh, no, those waitresses and waiters, they'll find new jobs. And it's like, where? You know, like, for example, say you got 100 Steak and Shakes, you know, 20 servers on the roster for the week, you know, 4 a day, 5 days a week. I don't know, you know, just a guess. Just throwing out a number. If, you know, 100 stores, 20 servers, that's 2,000 people. That's not a big amount, but then you got McDonald's and you got all these, you got every place, you know, putting in computers and AI services. You know, you got thousands and thousands and thousands of jobs. Look at, like, the Henry Ford plant back in the Model T days. You know, you had guys stamping, you know, damn near, like, paint stickers and shit. You know, like, that's all they would literally do is, like, stamp a fucking, you know, a metal frame with some, you know, numbers, and then they'd move on to the next frame, and they'd pull the lever and stamp it and move on to the next. But now all that shit's all automated, and you got robotic arms doing the screws and nuts and bolts, and, you know, that's all millions of jobs right there. But so no, I agree. Yeah, AI is replacing us, and I think that we're gonna have to go to a universal income, kind of like the stimulus checks. I mean, it's either that, or it's gonna get to a point where one day, you know, you're just gonna be classed. You know, you're gonna be born, and it's just gonna be like Hunger Games. You're just gonna be, well, you're born into a lower poverty, so you're District 10. You know, oh, your family had money, you know, before money went obsolete. All right, you're District 1 or 2, you know, but that it's either that or we're all going to get a steady, you know, government income, like I said, like a stimulus, but it'd be the universal income, they call it. And, you know, I don't know how that would work because, you know, I mean, it's going to be over time, you know. Doctors aren't going to be replaced as fast as a server, you know, or maybe they will, who knows. But either way, you know, the equality gap it's going to be addressed, you know, maybe not in my lifetime, but it's going to be addressed by AI for sure. The income equality is what I mean, that equality gap. The equality on the rest of humanity, that's humanity's fault. And that's all of us just needing to work together and love each other. Let's see, what else we got? So, he doesn't like the change, Steak and Shake, AI replacing us. I mentioned how he said bombing as a comedian is one of the funniest things, especially when you look back. And that was another one of my trolls to the commenter, which, you know, the commenter's gonna be mentioned throughout, you know, not that I'm going much longer, but commenters mentioned throughout, because like I said, you walked right into this one, buddy. You know, no matter how shitty my casts are, if you listen this far to actually hear what I'm saying, then you're one of the listeners that you said doesn't listen or won't gain traction, which I appreciate either way. You know, I appreciate the fact you even found my channel means you clicked on the link, you know, or you searched something and it brought me up. So in that respect, you know, my shit's working. You know, it's not, no, I'm not I'm not rich. I'm not making money off of it. That has been 10 minutes wasted in the car now, instead of sipping on my alcohol. So, yeah, if anything, I saved my liver and my kidneys 10 more minutes of fucking stress. So, yeah, I guess this waste of time is actually a healthy one. Maybe it is just for me for venting, Maybe it's just going to be my little diary. Because that's, if that's the worst, that's what I've been saying. That's the worst case. So I don't know where your point is with that. You have to be a listener to fucking know the stuff that you're saying. But no. So when Bill said bombing as a comedian was, one of the best parts, and having other comedians that laugh at it and they give you tips and whatnot. That's why I say put comments in. Tell me like, hey, when you said this, if you would have followed up with this, it would have been hilarious. Or, if you commented about this with Bill, if you would have changed this word, or if you would have, rephrased it, like, I'm trying to learn here as far as that, but I'm also, any good comments I'll take, any constructive criticism I'll take, and even negative, I'll take it, because if I can roast back, like I said, all good and fun, I'm gonna. So fucking comment, like, subscribe, comment, make sure to click that button. And now I fucking sound like all the rest of those people out there. But no, yeah, bombing, I mean, that's one of the best things, So, I mean, what do I give a shit if, my channel's too small or shouldn't exist? It's my shit anyway. So if you don't like it, that's, I guess, the point. If you didn't like it, why'd you even comment? Like, you either listen to it all and you don't, you're frustrated because you're not doing it, or you didn't listen to it and you thought you thought it was so stupid that you had to say something. But either way, this isn't your business. It's not your family. I'm not fucking selling flowers and shit to your mom and your sisters, or your, I'm not selling, barbecue grills to your fucking uncles and grandpa and whatever, like, what was the point of that comment? All you did was gave me like 10, 15 minutes worth of shit I could, basically not roast, because I don't know the person personally, but roast the comment because it all fits. But, god damn, man. And it's funny, in Bill's podcast, he keeps getting angry at shit. And he mentions it's not the shit he's angry at, like the phone or the computer or whatever. He's angry, or the script he's angry at. He's angry because he wants to see his family, and it's like, I'm just trying to get to my next fucking note here, but this damn comment keeps popping up because, like I said, if you go back and listen, and then you read the comment, it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, it's great. I fucking love it. But, yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna bomb. I'm gonna suck my first, couple 100,000 podcasts, I know that. And I love it, and I'm rolling with it. That's what you do. You fucking, it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up. And I'm getting the fuck up, damn it. No matter who says what. Now, on that note, though, another thing he said, he's talking about, last time he was at a strip club, and he was talking about, the guy bought him a ticket or some drinks or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he mentioned something about breakfast. And that's a good one because, he mentioned Tampa. And it's great. Thank you, Bill, for the Tampa shout out. I know I don't live there anymore, but that's hometown for me, so, But he mentioned strip clubs, or no, he mentioned the baseball with the strip club in it, which I was going to be shocked because there are, Ybor City and just Tampa Bay in general, it's like strip club, it's like, like Vice City for the video the Grand Theft Auto, back in the old days, which isn't even the old days, because Grand Theft Auto 1 and 2, those are the old days for, GTA, but, a lot of you youngins won't know about those. But, no, yeah, Tampa Bay does have a lot of, clubs like that. But it's funny because he said, who wants to have breakfast, and have, like, have titties or, a clam in your in your face. And I'll never forget my first trip to a club. They actually had a billboard right out front. I didn't go for breakfast, Bill. I didn't go for breakfast. But they did have a billboard that had all-you-can-eat pancakes from, like, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. to get people in the morning. And that was my thought was, so my thought was after I went. So what happened is I went, nighttime, the girls were, not to be rude, I'm going to try to put this in the best way, but, missing teeth and looking unhealthy, and all that just wasn't the right atmosphere for if that's going to be the job you're doing, like Bill said, you don't show up to a movie, you don't show up to not rehearse, to try out for something, and you don't look the part, so but these most of the girls didn't look the part, they didn't look, like I said, it was more health and like maybe drug use, I don't know, but you shouldn't have been stripping, you definitely weren't making money. But the girl calls me up to the stage, she does one of those little sexual finger things, like the one, like the come here, and so my friends are all like, yeah, go up there, she's talking to you, man. And, we're in college, so we're all drunk and fucking, yeehawing and shit. So I go up there, and she starts, and this is a full nude bar, so, it's 21 and up, we're all drinking. She pulls her underwear to the side and starts basically, nose to the grindstone. We'll call it that. That's a fucking good one. I like that. Nose to the grindstone, because that's how I felt. But the point is, she does the grinding of the grindstone, and my nose, gets burnt, for lack of a better term. And then she stops and pulls out her bra strap, and I whispered to her, I'm like, what are you doing? Because I knew what she was. I knew the point of the moment, but you called me up here, so that's what happened. She goes, oh, you must be new. This is, I danced on you. Now this is where you put money in my bra strap. And I just blurted out. I'm like, you called me up here. And she flipped, dude. She's freaking out, yelling to the managers that I, robbed her of, not of a dance. We didn't go to a room, but, that I basically used her. And I'm like, dude, I didn't even want that. I don't want this grindstone on me. Get this fucking, whack-a-mole looking, and there's clubs. I've been to some clubs that, you're looking at the dancer and you're like, God, I wish she didn't dance. Where's a woman like that, not to say that girl, the good looking ones, not to say they're not respectable, but it's like, God, where, where was this club, when I went the first couple times or whatever. But no, it was a real bad club. But the point is, they had pancakes and nudes, but I thought to myself afterwards when I saw that billboard, driving down it's 66th Street over in Pinellas, by Clearwater, by the beaches, but and it's right at 66th Street. It's not even in a bad neighborhood. It's just a random off the side of the road. You got gas stations and housing and apartments, and then bam, breakfast, titties, and nightclub. And but no, my first thought was, I can't imagine having a scrambled eggs or some kind of, a strong smelling breakfast. I don't mean even strong in a negative smell, but, the point is, you got a breakfast smell. You got your egg, your waffles, your eggs, your pancakes, your syrup, butter, whatever. And then here comes this grindstone clam right to your fucking nose. So now it's just did you want salmon with your pancakes? Oh, it's fucking gross. It's gross. It's fucking disgusting. At least, like Bill said, and this reminds me of a story. Well, not a story, but a thing a lot of kids go through, and I went through it, and I'm sure a lot of you people went through it. When you're young, and your parents say you got say you got a cheeseburger, you're real young, and they'll say, well, you like cheese, don't you? Yeah. And you like hamburgers, don't you? Yeah. Well, then here, eat this fucking cheeseburger because you like both of those items. Well, I don't like cheese on my burger. Well, you just said you like them both, so I don't want to hear it. You're not leaving the fucking table until you eat. Or, if you're lucky and you're a little bit older generation than me, you got go to bed hungry, which if I didn't like the food, I wanted to go to bed. Thank you. Send me fucking to bed. I'd rather wake up and have breakfast and skip one meal I can't stand than to sit at the table and get bitched at for 5 hours because you'd think I'm bullshitting that I don't like this. But my excuse always back was I'd have like the two most odd items that you'd never put together. I'd be like, well, you like steak, right? And they're like, my parents would be like, yeah, I like steak. And I'm like, and you like s'mores? Yeah, what's the point? I'm like, well, you're going to eat a graham cracker chocolate marshmallow steak over a fire? And they're like, you're just being over dramatic. And it's like, no, I'm not. It's the same fucking principle. You like one item, you like another item. You don't like them together. I know a good friend of mine, my first guest, Kirk. He likes pickles, but not on his burgers, not on his, his sandwiches, etc., whatever, but he likes pickles. But do you see people approaching him like, hey, why are you eating that pickle on the side, but you didn't eat it on your sandwich? Like, nobody, that's your business, But no, I hated that parental, gray area trying to work around it. Because don't tell me cheese and burgers, which, I understand. I'm not saying cheeseburgers aren't, common. That's just my reference. But it's like, don't tell me that a cheese and, a piece of beef go together. But then I can't tell you that, oh, you like broccoli and you like gummy bears. So why don't you stuff gummy bears in your broccoli? I always made an ignorantly, hardcore, ignorant comparison. But I was a kid. And I was trying to get the point across. It was like, I like these two things. Like I'm still that way to this day. I like most fruits. I like most vegetables. I like a lot of foods. I don't like them mixed. Like shepherd's pie. You go down that ingredient list and you put them separately. And I'll eat just about every fucking thing in that list. But you make it together and make shepherd's pie. I just don't like it. Textures, flavors, juices, whatever you want to call it. I don't like it. But, how the fuck did I get into shepherd? Oh, because he's in Boston. He said they got legs and eggs. And I said we got titties and pancakes in Tampa. But I don't know how I got to fucking being picky with food. But, yeah, we're just ranting on today. Fucking starting with that comment. And that came in early before I even got to Bill's Monday podcast. So I was already, like I said, at first I was like, well, it's expected. I've been waiting for actually worse, way worse comments and not ones that I could even riff off of. So, but, yeah, so it's been a good cast here. I feel like, we got some shit going. We got some shit off our chest. That just saved 5 years of stress. Maybe I might actually live a little longer now because we let it out. Last thing on Bill. He was talking about the guy with the plane being up 1,000 feet, full power climb. I don't remember him saying that the guy was taking off. I'm going to turn off my studio now, my truck, since it's been over 20 minutes wasted now. Holy shit, at my own home, 20 minutes wasted? Wow, man, I'm missing out on life. I could have went to the store by now and, got a 2-liter and drove back. But he's talking about the pilot and how the guy, basically from what I've heard is, he's flying, he was climbing. It doesn't seem like he was climbing too fast, but because 1,000 feet, I mean, dude, 1,000 feet's not that fucking high. I mean, you got skyscrapers in New York that are, damn near not double that, but, way over 1,000. So, and being, what'd he say? I know fixed wing, I get that, but I'm assuming it's got to be like a Cessna or something small, like a 2 or 4-seater or, something. Because there's no way if you're in like a Boeing, well, first of all, if he was in like a Boeing, it'd have been on the news and everybody would have been like, holy shit, because he wakes up and then fucking nosedive, still full throttling. And, which I'm glad he made it out, to the credit to the pilot and to Bill's story. That's one hell of a story to tell your family, your kids, your friends, or even to fucking email into Bill since he's a pilot. That'd be a crazy thing. But yeah, I agree with Bill. What caused you to pass out? What medical condition? What substance? What not that you would announce that, but I think 1,000 feet. I don't think you're. I think it's a couple thousand. I don't remember the exact, but you got a couple thousand feet before you start getting the oxygen, deprivation, and that's why I had to assume it's like a Cessna or something. I figured maybe it's just like a light. He was above ground level. AGL whatever. So, you know, that's 1,000 feet above the ground where he's at. So if he already had an elevation of say 2,000 feet at ground level, then you're at like 3,000. So I don't know the exact, where the oxygen level tapers off, but if it wasn't medicine or medical condition, I gotta just assume that you hit that knockout place, and lucky for you, like you said, you woke up and push the plane to its limits. I'm thinking like Tom Cruise, or is that his? Yeah, that's in the fighter jet movies when he's like, oh, these F-16s can only take 8 Gs, and he's like, well, we're gonna push them to 11, and then so I just picture like a little Cessna just fucking wings shaking and shit, just fucking pulling up as hard as you can, fucking alert, and these guy's shitting himself like, holy fuck. Yeah, so, but no, great that you survived it and made it out, but yeah, how the hell did you get into that? But no, Bill said it was cool because professional racers or pilots, they're all like dialed in. And if you have listened to any of my casts, you'll know that I come from a professional racing background. Actually was on ESPN, so, not to fucking shameless plug or anything, but for any naysayers who say, this guy wasn't any part of any professional race team or anything, I got the national televised footage and the trophies to prove it, and the license, for that matter. It's obviously expired now because this is a while back. But no, the dialed in part, I thought it was cool that he noticed that, because it's like, when you're, and it's funny because I don't know if it's like this with him with flying, it's like, so for racing, it's like you get in and, you start your motor up, whatever, whether it's a starting line or if it's a running start. But until you actually start racing, your heart's pounding and your head's racing and you're just like, well, my God, it's like all these thoughts. But as soon as you got the green light or the green flag or, whatever, you got the, A-OK to haul ass, it's like you just go into like tunnel vision and like, the world slows down. It's like, those people that say that they were in a car crash and it felt like it was, minutes long, but it was actually like 6 seconds worth of like, a hit and a flip or something. That's kind of like racing. So I could assume, being a pilot like Bill, taking off, landing. Well, landing, he's probably already in the zone, but getting in and firing up the blades, because you got the blades that got to start rotating and whatnot. I'm sure he's probably like heart thumping, but once he gets off the ground, he's probably zoned in that comfortable space. But I thought that was cool that he recognized that. Well, not just for pilots, but he said for racers too, because I don't know who Bill has met or hasn't met, but oh, back to the commenter. Speaking of racers, and back to fucking roasting this commenter. My channel shouldn't exist. Like I said, if you listened to any of the old shit, I made this channel, and I'm doing all this just on purpose to try and poke the bear, so to speak, to meet my comedy heroes like Bill Burr or Cat Williams or Adam Sandler or, whoever else, to name a bunch. But I actually met my favorite NASCAR racer, who I would say, at the time was, equally popular, famous, like as far as, people recognize the mountain public like people would with Bill or with, whatever. So in that respect, I met this guy, and all we did, my dad and I, we acted like our car was broke down, and we blocked the exit from the, like the plaza we were in. We broke that, we played breakdown in the entrance exitway. So the guy's limousine pulls up, and guess what? Well, sorry, we're broken down. I actually have my son with me. He's a huge fan of this NASCAR driver who just won the Daytona 500. And what happens? I'm at the back of the limousine, 2 minutes later, shaking hands and shooting the shit with this guy, just like I want to do with Bill. Fucking shake his hand, grab a photo, shoot the shit, grab some lunch, have a couple laughs. I'd love to hear a couple stories, tell a couple stories. Fucking, agree, disagree, whatever. And then I'm fucking on my way, you know, and one of my dreams came true. I got to meet somebody, you know, if I'm lucky. We'll talk fucking turkey, we'll talk fucking business. If I'm actually, you know, if I was actually funny at the time. But, you know, either way, just to get a fucking photograph, have a little shoot the shit, you know, and if we can park a fucking car that works perfectly fine, pop the hood and act like it's dead, then why can't I make a fucking shitty little podcast and poke at my favorite comedian, or, you know, even start poking at other comedians until somebody pokes back that's not you. And, you know, what's the fucking difference? You know, I mean, the odds are the same. You know, the odds, they could have fucking, you know, they could have easily been like, dude, get a tow truck and get this fucking guy out of the way. You know, just like if I am that, you know, clickbait fucking person that Bill was talking about, you know, if just fucking, you know, get the tow truck and get me out of the way. Get your legal team, you know, fucking send me the letter, sign it with your actual pen so I have a fucking autograph, you know. Make it worth my my legal fees. And then you know, I mean, if that's how we're feeling, but I feel like, you know, should have worked, because I've seen it work multiple times in way this isn't the proper word, but way stupider or way more dumb situations. I said stupider because I couldn't think of, besides more dumb, you know, I couldn't think of like just the situation. Like I said, broken down car, or acting like, you know, you don't see somebody and you bump into them, just stupid shit. And here comes that fucking troll, the comment. So, yeah, that's the, yeah, let's make sure here. Yeah, that's my cast for today. Like I said, Bill did it early, and the comment guy, you know, just to piss him off, I'm going to post a little early too, because you know what? Why does it exist? I don't know, but it does, and what can anybody do about it, I guess, you know? I don't know, but it's not yours, so if you don't like it, don't fucking listen. And if you do like it and you're just heckling me or giving me shit, then bring it and keep bringing the shit, man. Give me shit to talk about. That's fucking awesome. But, you know, yeah, like I said, if you're just, you know, just giving me shit. If you're just being a troll, then I guess you fit in with the rest of the trolls. Who knows? But, yeah, so we got Bill. We got some responses to stuff he said. He's hanging out with big gay JIM. So, you know, and he's bored, misses family. He's in New York, blah, blah, blah. All the shit that we've already talked about. So, we'll hopefully have some good shit happen this week. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, of course, as always. Stay warm or cool, whatever you like. But we'll catch back in either Thursday night, if I feel like being a sassy fuck, or Friday morning for the, you know, as same bat time, same bat channel, as they'd say, podcast, you know, the After Bill Burr's podcast. And we'll see if we don't have any other funny comments that we can troll back at. All right, thanks for listening. If you have, like I said, hit that button below, like, subscribe, follow, fucking purchase the nothing I don't sell. Other than that, Bill, go fuck yourself. Everybody else, go fuck yourselves with the most respect. And that's it. Friday it is. Maybe.